Parents, this is exactly how your team can score 1,500 or above on the March 2026 SAT. For those of you guys who don't know me yet, my name is Jared Nguyen. I'm the founder and director of Geometry Guru's SAT Prep. And at this point in my career, I've helped hundreds of students increase their SAT scores so that they can go to their dream colleges or qualify for scholarships. In every single video that I post, I give you guys one actionable step to increasing your teen's SAT score. With that being said, family, let's get straight into it. This is exactly how to score 1,500 or above on the March 2026 SAT. Number one is, if you're watching this, start. You need to just start. On average, it takes about anywhere between 3 to 5 months, depending on the student, depending on where you're starting, and depending how committed you are, to get that 1,500 and above. Unfortunately, right, I wish there was a one-size-fits-all approach, and unfortunately, I wish that you can just do, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you get a 1,500, but most cases, that's not realistic. You need to start now. If you don't start now and you wait until later, then you're going to set yourself up for failure, because there's going to be so many things that you're lacking, or you don't even know that you're lacking, that if you don't start now, it's going to bite you in the butt, okay? Number two, consistency. All right. Now, that's why it's so important to start now, because it takes a little bit to build that consistency. Not a lot of students can just sit down, right, 12 weeks before the exam and be like, I'm going to be consistent every single day. No, that rarely happens, okay? Usually there's a small buffer window, about 2 to 3 weeks before they start actually getting really consistent. Like, probably half of the students that I work with actually are more like, okay, yeah, we need the first 2 weeks just to start getting consistency, because they need to start believing that the amount of work that they do is actually going to help them, all right? Now, what do I mean by consistency? That means doing work even if it feels mundane, even if it feels a little bit boring. Because a lot of students that tell you that, hey, yeah, Jared, I spend so many hours a day working on SAT prep, very rarely are they actually doing enough volume and enough consistency for them to actually target any real specific weaknesses. All right, so again, all you guys need to do is make sure to start now and be consistent. 40 problems a day, every single day, is all you need to start out, just to get in the groove of things. All right, if you're not able to do that, if you're not willing to do that, then I'm going to be honest with you, the odds of you getting a 1,500 by that March exam, it's just not really going to happen if you're not able to be consistent, okay? Number three, now, once you build that consistency, once you're actually been able to start, you need to figure out your efficiency index. I'm going to say it one more time, the efficiency index. It's not enough to know what you're making mistakes on. You need to know why you're making mistakes on them. So this is where a lot of students and a lot of test prep centers, they get it wrong. They just see what you got wrong on a diagnostic exam, right? And they're like, okay, hey, you need to work on that. But they don't know exactly why they need to work on that, or if they even need to work on it at all. For example, there's 3 main reasons why a student would get something wrong on the exam. The first reason is that they just straight up don't understand the concept. Okay, that one's pretty obvious. The second reason is because they don't know the time-saving strategies, like they're running out of time on each problem. Okay, that's the second reason. The third one is that they spent so much time on the easy problems at the beginning of the exam that by the time they got to the ending problems of the exam, even though they know how to do it, they just run out of steam. They get fatigued. Okay, so a lot of students think they have a conceptual issue, for example, but most of the times they actually have a strategy issues, and they focus on the wrong things. The efficiency index helps you work on the correct things every single day, so you're not wasting time once you have started that consistency. But you got to be consistent first before you even start targeting, because then you have no good foundations. Okay. Number 4, the pressure protocol. Now, so many students and so many SAT tutors, right, they make this mistake. They give their students problems and tests that are just way too easy in comparison to the real thing. So what happens is that they get a false sense of reality by the time they get into the exam, right? They're like, oh yeah, I practiced this so many times, but then they bomb the exam because everything that they worked on during practice was nowhere close to the same difficulty as the real thing. So now that we know exactly why you're making these mistakes and we don't have a targeting issue anymore, now is when you use harder SAT problems that mimic the same types of problems that you actually need to work on. So that way, you're going up in difficulty in practice, and then when you take the real thing, it feels like a cakewalk. All right? You got a lot of students, right? They can do problems, without a time limit, and they can do problems with the basic concepts, but once you put a time limit on them, and once you make the concepts slightly harder, it makes it really difficult on the real exam. So this is how we are able to simulate that test environment So by the time they go to the exam, they're just like, okay, yeah, I've done this a million times legitimately, right? It feels like nothing to me because I was working with materials that was so much harder before, right? And they, actually moved the needle for me. So last but not least is the test cadence. Big question I get is, Jared, how often should you be taking a practice exam? All right. Let me give you guys a hint. Some of you guys are taking way too many practice exams, and the other half of you not taking enough. What do I mean by that? You should be taking a practice exam every 2 weeks, but you got to make sure that things in between the 2 weeks make sense. Why do I say 2 weeks? Because that's enough for you to see the test enough times. So by the time you see the real thing, you're just like, oh, this is familiar to me. But also, it gives you enough time to diagnose why are you making these mistakes. And once you understand why you're making these mistakes, you can do the pressure protocol so that by the time you see the real thing on the exam, you've done it so many times in a pressurized environment, it doesn't really feel, it's not a big deal for you, okay? But where a lot of students go wrong is that they'll just spam practice exams. They'll do one right now, one tomorrow, one after that, but they don't actually focus on why they're getting those things wrong, and they don't work on them, right? So that's what I mean, that a lot of people are doing practice exams too many times, okay? Now, on the contrary, right, if you're waiting more than 2 weeks to do another practice exam, then you're just not going to have enough volume seeing the test for it to be really effective for you. All right. That's it, family. That's exactly how you score 1,500 or above on your next SAT. If you guys need any additional support with this, or you need our help to help increase your team's SAT score, all you need to do is send me an email, send me a DM. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out. Have a great rest of your day. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one.